morning. Before I call the meeting to order, we also have chairs in the lobby right next to us here. So if you want to sit in TV so you can see the meeting also. So we'll go ahead and call the regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, also sitting as Special Taxing District, May 6, 2024, 9 a.m. Board members will attend either in person, by telephone, or remotely via electronic conferencing. We're all here. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Supervisor Lyons,
please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Move on to call to the public. Call to the public is held for public benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or rescheduling the matter for further discussion and decision at a future date. Public comments may be made in person or submitted by email at publiccomment@yumacountyaz.gov. The email forms of public comment will be accepted until 8 a.m. the morning of the meeting. All public comments will be read out loud during the Yuma County Board of Supervisors meeting that starts at 9 a.m. Desiree, do we have any emails?
From a Joseph Murick, traffic study between County 16 and 19 on Avenue B. The traffic study conducted by engineering between March 4th, 2024 and March 8th, 2024 reveals a total of 37,464 cars traveling on Avenue B, not counting Saturdays and Sundays. This indicates a high volume of traffic. Based on the study and my analysis, it appears that 64% of the vehicles are traveling within the speed limit of 45 miles an hour. Looking at the vehicles traveling in excess of 45 miles an hour to 90 plus miles an hour, the percentage appears to be about 36%. About 30 dogs and an undisclosed amount of cats have been killed between County 16 and County 19. And then there is a breakdown of the speeds included in the report. We have to do something to cause these vehicles to slow down. A four-way stop on County 17 or 17 3/4 would help solve the problem and prevent humans and animals from being killed on this stretch of Avenue B. How long are we going to stand idly by before someone loses their life?
Thank you, Desiree. And I know engineers on that.
That's correct.
Sorry.
The engineers engaged a firm to address or to look into it even further.
Thank you, Ian. And I got some speaker forms. Two of them are for an item on the agenda, so I'll call you when we get to that item. And then we have two for call to the public right now. Gail Castricone.
Good morning. My name is Gail Castricone. I am the neighborhood advocate for the Avenue B and C Colonia Butterfly Project. These are very trying times that we live in, but if we give our worries to God, He will give us peace that we are looking for. Now that the band trailer park has evicted almost everyone, we have definitely noticed a huge difference in the neighborhood. The bad actors are gone, so we are not having to deal with the drug dealers, gangs, gunshots, fires, homicides from the park. It has been a long and painful journey for so many of our residents. Our official date of reporting violations at Band Park was 2021. We had a hearing August 22. Now it is 2024 and we still don't have a court date. Our neighborhood meetings have been very informative. Our May speaker will be Kelly from Public Works. She and her team have done a great job in helping with the Avenue B and C butterfly projects. Our committee and residents want to be proactive. We have been turning in some of the properties that are in violation of the Yuma County codes. Some are complying, but some are not. Once the property is cleaned up, it would be a good idea to have a one-year probation. Many of the properties that are cleaned up, then they do not follow through with maintaining of it. At our BNC Colonia neighborhood meeting tomorrow, we have chosen another recipient to receive our Good Neighbor Award. Rose lives on Fifth Street, and she and her mother have been in Yuma for 3 years. Rose has a passion for gardening. Her vegetable garden is in front of her house. It is her desire to have a community garden in the BNC Colonia. Rose holds classes at her home and her neighbors. The children love helping her in the garden. This is another example of the good people that reside in the BNC Colonia. We have a lot of young families with children in our area. It is our goal to make sure that they receive all of the benefits of a clean, safe, and nurturing community. I want to wish all of the moms a happy Mother's Day. In Proverbs 31, it says, "Strength and honor are her clothing. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is the law of kindness. Her children rise up and call her blessed." God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Gail. Sarah Palmer?
Hello, good morning. My name is Sarah Palmer. I'm a real estate agent here in Yuma. I've been licensed since 2004. And I'm here because I need help, please, with the assessor's office. I work a lot of new construction projects, and in particular, I have a problem with what's happening with the affidavit of values. They're putting basically everybody down as a rental or a non-resident property, which affects the property taxes, and it needs to be looked at a little closer. I work one project in Yuma proper down in the valley, and we've had 9 sales down there. And out of those 9, 8 have been put down incorrectly. Out in the foothills in the last 2 years, we've been lucky enough to close out our phase 2 of El Rancho and Encantado, and we had 54 sales out there that closed, and 48 of those went down incorrectly. I personally went door to door to door in that neighborhood to pass out flyers to have more attention drawn to the matter that their property taxes were incorrect. And I thought maybe with this new phase that things would change a little bit, but that's not the case. We've recently closed out 12, and out of those 12, 3 of them actually were rentals, so by default I think those are probably correct, but all the others were wrong. There is a lady that works there at the assessor's office that it seems like her primary job is to kind of adjust these changes as they come up, and she's been very, very helpful. Every time I've called down there, she's taken my call, she's respectful. And last week I sent a whole nother list of the ones that were incorrect. I checked this morning, those have been changed in the system, but I don't feel that it's right that they're automatically going down as rentals, because most of the people don't take the time to check their value forms that come in. So, in particular in South County, down in San Luis, there's a project that's wrapping up about 600, I think I counted, lots. And if you take the time to actually look, most of those are probably happening with the same thing as going down as rentals. So please, if somebody can help, it's affecting our citizens, and actually Welton too. A lot of new construction out there too, so anything that can be done to review that, I think would be very helpful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sarah, and we'll definitely have our county administrator look into that and see what's happening there with if it's a glitch from the computers or the programs that we have, but we'll definitely take a look at it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
I think she read my analysis.
Can you
Based
still-
on the
can you
report
still-
from engineering, they based their
Can you
mean
state your name and just
average miles
just
per
for
hour
the
at
record?
50.2.
Name, can you,
Got to put your,
because we
can you
have,
say your
can
name?
you say your name?
Oh, Joe Mura, Somerton, Arizona, County 17 3/4. concerns the traffic analysis engineering did. They based it on a mean miles per hour of 50.2. My analysis is from 45 miles per hour and beyond. If you look at the statistics, I emailed this to you. What really struck me is 90 miles per hour in excess. That means one driver a day is going 90 miles an hour plus. That means it takes 9 to 10 car lengths before you can stop. So if a person's walking across the street, get their mail, their history, they're gone. Same with animals. There's been at least 30 animals, 30 dogs, not counting cats, that have been killed on that stretch of highway between County 16, County 19. It's an Indy 500. We need to do something to drop that speed, that acceleration. My suggestion, four-way stop at County 17 or County 17 and 3/4. 64% of the people are driving within the limit. But 37%, 36%, that's 1 in 3 drivers, is driving in excess of the speed limit. So what does that mean? 1 in 3 drivers has a possibility of getting somebody killed on that stretch of highway. Now, is that acceptable? I don't think so. I did the percentages. I looked at that. Like I said, from 40 to 45, 64%, which represents 24,278 vehicles. And on that highway, or that stretch of road, 37,646 vehicles are traveling to San Luis and back to Yuma within a 5-day stretch from Monday through Friday, not counting Saturday and Sunday. So 1 in 3 drivers, 36%. To me, that's unacceptable. We've got to do something to stop that acceleration between those County 16 and 19. If we don't, someone's going to get killed. Animals have been killed out there. Man's best friend, 30 of them have died. They belong to somebody. Granted, they're not people. They're part of the family. So my suggestion is, let's get that rectified. Because I'd hate to come here with a person's family who got killed on that stretch of highway and ask, and be standing right here and ask every one of you why. And mark my words, I will bring that person. I will seek them out and I will bring them here. And they'll ask the question to the board, why? Why haven't we taken steps to rectify this? I'm going to get
We have a consultant looking into it.
Excuse me?
We have a consultant looking into it, so.
Hey, what's the board going to do about it? What are we going to do about it?
Well, management is looking at it, and the engineer, the sheriffs are been out there. I've seen them, so we're doing our part.
They've
So-
caught a few people. I was out there. See, I live right there, and I can observe that whole area.
So,
I live right on the corner.
Mr. Chairman, the consulting engineering
Sheriff
firm will
out
be
there.
here
But I'm
Friday
going
to
to
do a
get the
site visit.
statistics from the sheriff on that stretch of road, how many people got tickets and how many, how fast have they been going? So I'm going to present that to you guys too,
all right,
until something get done. But I hate to come up here with a family member who's been killed or injured on that stretch of road, and they stand here where I stand and ask the question why.
all right, thank you,
My case rests for now, but I'll be back until something's done.
all right.
Thank you.
Excuse me, didn't we have this read before the meeting? Wasn't there some comment? Is it the same?
Yes, it was from
The same gentleman came over, sent a comment by email and then sent it up? Okay, all right.
Anybody else to call to the public? I'll go ahead and leave the call to the public open, and we'll move on to presentations, proclamations, and appointments. During this segment of the agenda, board members may discuss the presentations and proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission and the Yuma County Board of Adjustments. No legal action will be taken. Do we have any appointments?
Yes, I've got, need to change out one of my appointees to the Board of Adjustments. I need to remove Neil Tucker and replace him with Randy Ferguson.
Anyone else? Nope. All right, we'll move on to item number 1. Chairman proclaims May 15, 2024 as Law Enforcement Memorial Day in Yuma County. Supervisor
I've got
Simmons.
that one. Okay, proclaiming the day of May 15th, 2024 to be Law Enforcement Memorial Day in Yuma County. Whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, also called Law Enforcement Memorial Day. And the calendar week in which May 15th falls is National Police Week. And whereas Law Enforcement Memorial Day pays recognition to all law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. And whereas Law Enforcement Memorial Day is a collaborative effort of many organizations dedicated to honoring America's law enforcement community. And whereas former President Ronald Reagan additionally established National Correction Officers Week on May 5th, 1984 to thank correctional officers for their service and celebrate their contributions to society, which is recognized this year, May 5th through May 11th. And whereas the first week of May, various U.S. agencies honor correctional officers in our jails, prisons, and community correctional facilities by organizing different programs for them. Now, therefore, the day of May 15th, 2024 is hereby proclaimed to be Law Enforcement Memorial Day in Yuma County.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons.
Who's picking it up, the sheriff?
Guy, big guy here. Sheriff.
Chair, members of the board.
I want to, on behalf of the men and women of the Sheriff's Office, I want to thank you for recognizing not only our detention officers and the work that they do, but our patrol personnel as well. And on behalf of law enforcement as a whole in Yuma County, I want to thank you for the recognition as well.
Thank you, Sheriff, for all the service you guys do. You want a picture with him?
Yeah, well. Unless he doesn't want a picture with us.
Don't get the wallet.
I'll give it to you.
Put you guys in the middle.
Do it in terms of size.
Law enforcement.
One more. No, one more. My wife will take it. Keep my eyes on you, Aaron. It's always nice to say hi.
Yeah, no, sure.
Heck yeah. We planned for that.
Go ahead, guys.
Item number 2, Chairman proclaims May 8th, 2024 as World Facilities Management Day. We have Supervisor Lyons will read the proclamation.
Proclaiming the day of May 8, 2024 to be Facility Management Day in Yuma County. Facility management is a profession dedicated to ensuring the functionality, comfort, safety, sustainability, and efficiency of the buildings in which we all live, work, and facility managers perform and oversee a variety of essential functions, including cleaning, security, maintenance, grounds management, emergency response, project management, sustainability, planning, and World Facility Management Day recognizes the efforts of the facility management professionals who influence the health, safety, productivity, and well-being of people who utilize the building environment. And Yuma County is grateful for the positive impacts facility managers have on our infrastructure, the safety of our population, and our economy. And it is fitting and proper to recognize the efforts of organizations and individuals working to ensure a safer built environment, happy and healthy occupants, and a sustainable world. Now therefore, the day of May 8th, 2024 is hereby proclaimed to be, and there's a misprint, so that's all we're going to say, because the rest is not for this proclamation.
I have it on my computer.
We have,
Facilities
Tiffany.
Management Day in Yuma County.
Yes.
We have Tiffany here.
Okay, go ahead.
Chairman Porches, members of the board, Tiffany Anderson, Facilities Management Director. Thank you so much for acknowledging the men and women who work in facilities management. These are the individuals who work behind the scenes to make sure that our facilities and parks are comfortable, safe, clean, and functional. And so with this, I want to introduce several of the supervisors that I have here with me today. So we have Greg Britt, our Deputy Director, Jose Quesada, Project Management, Joaquin Espinosa, HVAC Supervisor, Miguel Apata, Maintenance Supervisor, and Mario Rosas with our Fire, Alarm, and Security team. So they're going to come forward and help me accept this proclamation on behalf of our department.
We're not gonna go down there, there's too many of them.
Take a picture right here.
So we'll just
Oh,
stand
you're
down
already
here.
there.
Yeah, he's already.
Then you're already there.
It's been a little.
Oh, and I'm sorry.
We'll just slip up back here.
Custodial.
We try to make it easy for the picture taken, but I guess it didn't work out. Who's out there actually doing the work?
All the people who work for the guys up here.
So no supervisor, huh? That thing's wide enough? Oh, this way.
Always one more.
Yeah, you gotta look that way.
Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you very much.
How you doing?
Dale, ahí.
Okay.
We'll move on to item number 3. Chairman proclaims the week of May 6th to the 12th, 2024 to be Nurses Week in Yuma County. And we have Supervisor Pancras leading it.
Proclaiming the week of May 6th through the 12th, 2024 as Nurses Week in Yuma County. Whereas registered nurses in the United States constitute our nation's largest healthcare profession and meets the emerging healthcare needs of the American population, and professional nursing is an indispensable component of the safety and quality of care of hospitalization and non-hospitalization patients. And whereas the American Nurses Association, as the voice for the registered nurses in this country, is working to chart a new course for a healthy nation that relies on increasing access to health care and better utilization of all our nation's registered nursing resources. And whereas the demand for qualified registered nursing services will increase due to the aging of the American population, emerging health challenges, the continuing expansion of life-sustaining technologies, and the growth of home health care services. And whereas the American Nurses Association and the Rio Colorado Yuma Chapter 7 of Arizona Nurses Association has declared May 6th through the 12th as Nurses Week, with the theme, Nurses Make the Difference, showing appreciation for nurses' unparalleled impact during the pandemic and their contributions to healthcare, and an open invitation to thank a nurse for enriching our lives and the world we live in. Now, therefore, the week of May 6th to the 12th, 2024 is hereby proclaimed Nurses Week in Yuma County. And I ask that all residents of Yuma County to join me in honoring and celebrating registered nurses for their accomplishments and efforts to improve our healthcare system.
Thank you, Lynn. And we have Marilyn.
Yes.
Yeah. Or you wanna? If you don't wanna say anything, we can just.
Yes, go,
give-
both of you get.
No, I'm not shy. Thank you, Chairman and all supervisors. On behalf of all the nurses, not just in Yuma County, but across the nation, we all are going to need nurses at some steps in our lives. I'm a proud member of our local Chapter 7, Rio Colorado Yuma Chapter 7. Actually a founding member, and Carol Hogard here is a founding member also, and that was in 2002, I believe, of the chapter, which is under the big umbrella of the American Nurses Association. So with that, we thank you for proclaiming this, making it official.
I actually belonged to the American Nurses Association in 1961. So I represent the old folks here. Anyway, I will tell you that nurses are the really important part of the team because we're there 24 hours a day. And we really need everybody to appreciate nursing so we can get more people in nursing now because it's rather challenging work. And we thank you so much for recognizing nurses here at this wonderful group that runs our county. So thank you so much.
Thank you for what you do.
I just want to say something. I believe doctors are great, but nurses are greater. They're better. You know, doctors are fine. I mean, they know what they're doing, but nurses are always the ones that are touching you, the ones that are doing all the work. And I truly appreciate the work you guys do. I think the board understands that.
Yeah.
So we just
I'll give you the proclamation and you take a picture.
I will say that the money's in the mail. You can put it anywhere. No. Don't do that. Hey, look, as long as the chairman's not behind you, it's okay. Oh, no pocket?
And then Barbara, and then a couple of.
For those in the room, NAU, it has an accelerated course, AWC, NAU, and it's to get more registered nurses who don't take a break in the summer.
Hurry up and take the picture.
And if you do take a break in the summer, it takes 18.
This was not mine.
So.
Thank you.
Again, we're throwing her up.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, the return.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Good to see you today.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pues sí, tiene que- Sí. Well, this is clear. We're clearing up the route pretty fast.
Yeah.
Move on to item number 4. A presentation by Colin Goodard, Source Global Vice President, Safe Drinking Water for Arizona Families Update.
Okay, can I do this?
Clean it up, brother.
Up.
Ah, it doesn't work. Technical difficulties. Who's handling the, hold on, somebody's gonna check it back there. If not, then I guess somebody will have to push it.
I can begin with an
Good morning.
introduction. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, for the opportunity to speak.
Batteries. Push it.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, for an opportunity to present today. My name is Colin Goddard. I'm a vice president at Source Global, and come before you today to present an update from the last presentation that we gave to you regarding our work and rural renewable drinking water program. So I have a short overview, kind of remind you kind of what we do, as well as the program that we, thank you so much, as well as the program, wonderful, that we have begun to implement in Yuma County, and talk ideas for some future actions that the board could consider. So in short, at Source Global, we are an Arizona-based company. We're a technology invented at Arizona State University really in the early 2010s. And we're a public benefit corporation, which means that we have a mission to do the public good as well as growing our company. And globally, our goal is to help make clean drinking water an unlimited and renewable resource. And we do that with our core technology called a hydro panel. So it kind of looks like a solar panel, but instead of making electricity, it converts the water vapor in the air to liquid drinking water under its own power. So these are fully off-grid systems. You can quite literally put them on the ground in the middle of nowhere, and you can create a drinking water supply straight out of the air, fully off-grid. And it's used to help to provide drinking water where it's needed most. And I should say drinking water because it really makes a high-quality water for human consumption. Anytime you make water from a condensation process, you start with a very good, clean water. And we then mineralize that to make it taste better, and then deliver it to a tap in a house or in a building for consumption. And we use this technology all around the world today. We have projects in over 50 countries. We nearly have 10,000 hydro panels deployed in a variety of environmental conditions. We do everything from a small system on a house to a medium system on a school or to a large-scale water farm. And our first water farm in Arizona is out by the Mesa Airport. Think about a large centralized array of hydro panels. And we came about a year ago to present on a grant that we received in partnership with Local First Arizona for a rural renewable drinking water program. And this is a joint partnership between us and Local First that received a grant from the state to provide our technology to rural families and households in rural parts of Arizona to help increase access to clean drinking water at the household level. There was the pretty broad eligibility requirements. You just had to live in a rural community, in a colonia, or on tribal land. You had to experience some amount of water stress, right? That you couldn't just happily drink the tap water in your house. And you had to have space for a nice ground-mounted hydro panel system at your residence. And so with those requirements, after our presentation here, we worked with a variety of local organizations as well as the county to help inform residents about this program. And this program provided a free hydro panel system and also the first 5 years of all maintenance to beneficiary populations who enrolled. And the Yuma Health District and through their Yuma Heals Coalition was really helpful and informative to us to help connect with other healthcare workers where they really understood the acute community challenges with drinking water. We also had a great partnership with the Cocopah Tribe and their Department of Housing that helped us connect with a lot of families. Comité de Bienestar was a great partner that held a number of community events with us to inform residents. We also now have started an engagement with the Wellington Mohawk Irrigation District. They have a really interesting dynamic for a number of residents on domestic turnouts that are required by law to get a bottle of water delivered to their home. So that's interesting to continue to work with them. And then, the Moose Lodge and a variety of other local organizations that helped us get the word out. And as a result, we installed 138 homes with this equipment over the past, say, 9 months or so. I think we got at least one in every single supervisor district, although this was kind of looking 2 maps next to each other, so I think it's probably 90% accurate. But most of them happened in District 1, which was principally from the Cocopah Tribe. Nearly 50 of those were from on Cocopah Tribe land with their Department of Housing. And the majority, which is not surprising, really focused on the rural communities, was in District 6, kind of in that area between Dome and Dateland was where we had most of our focus. And here's a picture of one of the systems that got installed, right? 2 hydro panel setup. that goes ground mounted in a sunny area that doesn't receive shade so it can do its thing and create water. And from there, we run a water line into the house. Typically we try to put it in the kitchen on the sink where people prepare food on the left. Some people, don't have that, don't want that. That's fine. We put it on the wall in the middle in a better place, or kind of the other option is we can put it outside. Less convenient to do that, but some people want that, and we can make adjustments and be flexible to meet individuals where they are. And here's some of the early data. So these systems in dry, relatively arid part of the southwest Arizona, these systems are making about 2 to 3 cases of water a week. So 50 to 70 bottles of water a week on average, right? So really kind of that drinking component, not for toilets and showers and that kind of thing where we are today. But that is saving, if you take all those 138 sites, that's keeping about 300 to 400,000 water bottles out of your landfills every year if people are drinking this instead of having to buy it in a plastic bottle at the store, which just saves them about $3,500 to $5,000 just on bottled water alone, or $350 to $500 a year per family just on the bottled water alone, not factoring in gas, not factoring in time to go get it, all the other inconveniences of having to go fetch your drinking water. And it's principally is providing folks with a means of their own sustainability, their own way to get their own drinking water at a tap inside their house, which for many families is really convenient. So they don't have to lug in cases of water or that 5-gallon jug back and forth the whole time. And Local First Arizona, our partner on this project, is now conducting a larger, kind of longitudinal economic impact assessment, which we will love to come back to you guys to present probably in about a year's time, I think, when they'll be finished. But here's the kind of early data that we're happy to show you today. And then we kind of looked at broadly the county as we engaged in various partners, and we think this work really aligns with 3 core things that the county tries to do. 2 of them related to water, 1 related to health. One is, the county acknowledges that residents should have access to high quality drinking water where they live, and really, drinking water that tastes good and is nice and reliable for systems all over the county. And also on the health side of it, right, there's a broad effort by the health department to help ensure healthy living, healthy eating, and healthy drinking too, we think, aligns directly with that. So we really think that this capability can be another tool in the tool belt for the county and your staff to help accomplish these objectives and help improve the water access and quality of life to residents all around the county, particularly in the rural communities that are harder to reach with traditional water infrastructure. As there are more concerns over availability and the river and, regulations moving and all these things. Now, having that capability to make water here locally and not have to get it elsewhere, right, we think is a good tool. So we would like to continue to partner with the county and focus on rural areas. The well owner population, the focus that we've been kind of encouraged by members of the community was really that kind of along the I-8 corridor on the south side of the highway is an area where we could do more work and reach more folks. There's a number of grant programs, some of them from the newly formed Water Infrastructure Finance Authority that are available now that could be great opportunities to obtain funding to continue expanding this program locally within the county. We'd love to collaborate with local nonprofit organizations and the county to obtain some of that funds and continue to build out a local job and workforce development component of this technology deployment in any future project. We have our first full-time staff person now hired here in Yuma that does all the servicing for these units. And so that's kind of the short summary of kind of how we are and what we've done in the past year. And we love your support and consideration of expanding this program and finding more grants and resources with us to expand locally. So I'm sure you have many questions. That concludes my presentation. Thank you again for the time this morning.
Thank you, Colleen.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have many questions. I just have a couple. One, where do you get the magnesium? How do you mineralize that? How do you make it last?
There's a mineralization cartridge that you put into the reservoir. That we change that every 5 years. It's got calcium, magnesium to raise that pH of the water and make it taste nice. It's a 5-year maintenance item.
So you can put it anywhere in the house that a person finds convenient.
The tap, yes. And we put the panels outside in a sunny area on the ground or on the roof, as long as there's clear access to the sun for it to generate and harvest drinking water.
So you're doing this mostly in rural areas because obviously you don't conflict with the water systems of the cities and towns that have it available.
Yes, usually rural areas, great question, are places with the kind of most acute water challenges for drinking, right? And it's hard for those rural areas to often have the economies of scale to justify big, large, centralized water projects where something decentralized like this, kind of at the individual points where you need water, makes more sense. Through the program, we do have about 90 other human residents that are on our wait list that wanted to participate but couldn't because they live in a denser area and they needed a roof-mounted system. And so that was not part of our grant currently, so we'd love to continue to work with the local municipalities and county to find funding to be able to provide those systems. But most of those folks are kind of live in the more denser parts of the county, where there's, frankly, there's probably a centralized water infrastructure upgrade that could do that, right? When our technology really does make sense economically in the kind of rural communities.
How much space, I'm just gonna finish, this is the last one. How much space do you actually need to set up one of these panels? Because you set up one, right?
We set up 2 on a residence. Two is our smallest system. Some of our homes, like I said, with Navajo Nation, for example, everyone gets 3. That's what their government would like. So each one is about 4 by 8. So the size of a piece of sheetrock. Thank you for the questions.
This wasn't my question, but when you said Navajo Nation, this will be, for some of those folks up there, that will be the first time they've ever had drinking water on their site. On their home sites because of the, yeah, okay, I don't want to go there. But anyway, are most of the places that you're serving on a well and septic kind of situation?
Yes, ma'am. Most of the families are on a private exempt well that has their potable drinking water supply. There's usually sufficient volume for the toilets and the showers, but they just don't drink it. So they get bottled water delivery service or that kind of thing. So whenever we see bottled water, that's where we try to say, hey, there's another better, more sustainable, cost-effective way to do this now that doesn't require all that plastic and all that delivery. So that's principally, but there are people who, for whatever reason, don't want to drink the pipe water connection, the municipal city water. That's fine, but we try to focus really on the areas where there really isn't many other options.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, thank you. Great presentation.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 5, financial services, presentation by the Arizona Auditor General Office and Fester Chapman CPAs, contracted auditors on the fiscal year ending June 30, 2023, audit result as required by the Arizona Revised Statute. Gil.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Gil Villegas, Chief Financial Officer. Our fiscal year end audit, June 30th, 2023, was completed last March, and I'm happy to report that once again we received a unmodified or clean opinion in our financials. As part of the statutory requirement that we now have, within 90 days of the audits being completed, the auditor who performed the audit is supposed to come here and do a little presentation on our finances of any findings if they have. With me this morning, I have Mr. Ben Hoare with Fester Chapman. He is the one that conducted the audit for fiscal year ending 2023. Also on the phone, we have Ms. Carla Wall with the Office of the Auditor General. In partnership with the Office of the Auditor General, is that Mr. Ben Hoare is able to do his work and come and be in compliance with our audit. This is the last step that we have to do for our 2023 audit. So if there is any questions, if there are no questions for me, I'll gladly turn it over to Carla, Ms. Wall, who is in Phoenix and hopefully on the phone. Can you hear us, Carla?
Yes, good morning.
Thank you. Any questions for me?
Good morning, Chairman Porteous.
Right.
Good morning.
Sorry.
So, Mr. Chairman, there was one finding. It's an IT finding. Are you going to get into that in the report? Should we wait?
The auditor is going to give an explanation about that. Yes.
Okay. Fine. I'll wait.
Any questions for Gil?
Ms. Carla, would you please?
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Porteous and members of the board. My name is Carla Wall, and I'm a technical manager with the Arizona Auditor General's Office. And on behalf of the Auditor General, we appreciate the opportunity to meet with you today and to have our contract auditor, Mr. Ben Hoare, with Fester and Chapman, join us in presenting the county's fiscal year 2023 audit results to you. Thank you so much for having us. Before Ben presents the county's fiscal year 2023 audit results to you, I would like to briefly explain our role as it relates to the audit. The Arizona Auditor General is responsible for conducting annual audits of all Arizona counties or for causing those audits to be conducted. We sometimes contract audits due to our staffing levels and other audit demands. And when we contract county audits, we ensure that we select qualified CPA firms with experience in auditing counties and in understanding how those counties operate within the state of Arizona. We've contracted with Fester and Chapman for the county's audits through fiscal year 2024. As part of our responsibilities related to the county's audit, we work with and provide directions to Ben and his team as needed throughout the audit. Once the audit's in its final stages, we review the county's audit draft reports that are prepared by Fester and Chapman to help ensure that the audit reports meet applicable standards and that the auditor opinions expressed within the reports are consistent with the financial statements and the reported findings. So with that, I want to thank you again for your time, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ben, who will discuss the county's 2023 detailed audit results with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is Ben Herr with Fester and Chapman. I'm here to present Yuma County's for the fiscal year ended June 30th of 2023's audit result. Before I start with the prepared presentation for today, I would like to start with extending our appreciations to the county administrators and the chief financial officers and then his finance departments with their support and patience for the whole audit process. Today's presentation is simply, I'm going to cover simply two main sections. One is audit result summaries, including 3 reports we issued for the 23 audit, and then also a brief overview of financial information from the audited financial statements. First, the audit results on the financial statements audit. As you can see, we issued a modified opinions on the financial reportings of the Yuma County's financial statements, which means financial statements are presented in accordance with the GAAP. We also reported the audit findings, which is a significant deficiency as related to deficiency in the county's internal controls over IT systems and data. Second part is a single audit. As you well aware, when the non-federal entities receive the federal grants, we are required to perform the single audit for certain programs selected and tested. We actually selected these 6 programs for the fiscal year 2023, and we perform our testing procedures. We did not have any findings related to the internal controls over major programs, and we did not have any non-compliance issues noted out of these programs for our testing. This is a required communication for the auditors. We basically require to communicate what had happened during the audit process, which includes if there is any sensitive estimations and disclosure needed to be communicated, and then if there was any difficulties and the disagreement with management. We are happily reported back to you. There was no difficulties we encountered during our performance of the audit. We do not have any disagreement with management. And also indicating that we have 2 significant deficiencies, as I mentioned earlier, was included in our audit result. Second part of the presentations, as I mentioned, is the financial overview. So this information is derived from the audited financial statements. It simply just kind of like describes what was included in the financial statements. As of the June 30 of 2023, the county's reported total asset and deferred outflows roughly 760 millions, and the total liabilities and the deferred outflows about 288 millions, which results in the county's net position of 470 million. Revenues during the fiscal year 2023, county reported total revenue of 252 million, which is consisted of 64 millions of operating grants and the contributions, which is up roughly 25% of the total revenue, and 55 millions of property taxes, and then 45 millions of county taxes. Expenses. County reported total expense of 200 millions during the fiscal year 2023, and then which is consisted of 75 millions related to the general government expenditures, which is about 37.5%, and the 52 millions of public safeties, and the 20 millions of welfare-related expenditures. That is the end of my prepared presentations. And do you have any questions for me?
You still get jokes about your name, Ben-Hur?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just old enough to remember.
Yeah, I didn't bring my chariot today, so.
Yeah, okay, well.
You're
good
the
name.
Yep, thank you.
Any serious questions?
Oh, any serious questions? Did we get to the deficiencies yet? We had 2 deficiencies, right?
That's
Both
correct.
related to IT. Well, one of them is really related to IT. Is it going to be solved before June 24? I mean, IT has always been an issue for me because it's such a vulnerable section of what we do. I mean, we've had some instances, some serious instances of hacking and so on and so forth, but that's just like the nature of life nowadays. I think every company needs to beef up their security and IT. So to me, I saw the list of items that were going to be fixed, and I think that, well, fix is not the right word, that the items that are going to be done so that we don't have this deficiency. But we've been working on it since last year. Is it that close to June 30th that we feel safe and secure?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Supervisor Reyes, yes, there were 2 significant findings related to IT. One has to do with classification of inventory, so we can apply the proper security measures for that information that we hold. And the second one had to do with policies and procedures and keeping up with the data of the processes that we do or they do when they're doing backups, things like that. We have been putting a lot of effort for the last 3 years on those two items. At the beginning, those 2 items were significantly large because of the tasks that we had in hand, little by little, and all the investments that the board has done in the IT department, that we've been able to reduce the significance of these findings. At the end of the fiscal year in 2023, we did a significant investment in data classification, acquired a new system. Because it was towards the end of the fiscal year that we've been audited, it wasn't considered, for the majority of the year we were out of compliance. We believe that for the new fiscal year, that's going to help us with at least one of the findings. Also, ITS had been done a lot of strides, implementing policies, procedures, keeping track of the processes they do. So all that should help to address these 2 issues.
We know where to find you, right?
Yes.
Okay, I only had those questions. I mean, they were mostly because it's a significant deficiency that came up twice. And normally you have a year to fix whatever deficiency you have to make sure. We don't have any upcoming ones that I see. I mean, there was no report on anything coming up that could raise.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Reyes, the Office of the Auditor General usually sends a report to each one of you, including our financial statements, the board report, and any significant findings. On those findings, you have my dispositions, what we have promised that we're going to do to address these issues in the near future.
No question, no more.
Any other question?
Well, just a thanks. Thank you for doing that. I know it's legislatively mandated now to do this, and I know you have to give out a report, but it's always nice to hear from the auditors. Not that we don't trust our internal control.
I mean, that's the reasons for that you actually get that audit done externally like us. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Carla, and thank you, Gil.
Thanks so much.
You're very welcome.
Moving on to item number 6. Brief update on the progress of key projects. Morning, Dave.
Good morning, Chairman Porteous, members of the board, Dave Dillon, Construction Projects Administrative Director, here with a brief update. The intent of this presentation going forward will be to provide an update on 2 or more projects, hitting the highlights for schedule and budget and any other specific details related to projects within the overall county CIP facilities construction program. For today, however, to kick this off, we'll solely look at the Yuma County Administration Services building, which is currently in progress. This is a construction manager at risk delivered project. We always refer to the 3 legs of the team involved with the Seymour project, which is the owner, the architect, and the contractor. So just by way of update, the architect and their engineering team right now completed all design work going back to last summer. Construction documents submitted for permit in May. We received an early permit in August that allowed us to begin work below grade and then the full permit received in January of this year. Going forward, the architects and their engineering teams are in a phase that we refer to as contract administration. There's a quick snapshot of the types of activities that are involved with the contract administration phase, and that will be involved with going forward through completion of the project. The CMAR, or the general contractor, Pilkington Construction, completed the demolition phase in June of last year. As you know, the board has approved 4 different phases to this project, which has allowed us to continue the project moving forward expeditiously. So the first phase was solely for demolition that was completed last summer. GMP2, the main component of that GMP2 phase was the procurement of our steel. And that is completing now. Actually, obviously the steel procurement was completed some time ago, but the remainder of the scope of that GMP package has been ongoing up until April of this year. And then we are currently in progress with GMP3, GMP4. 3 is based around the steel erection, the concrete footings, foundation, and underground utility work. That will actually continue through the spring when we kind of circle back around to wrap up those utilities connections. And then GMP4 is the main one. That is the bulk of the construction work, and that has started as of 2 months ago, I believe, and will continue through project completion in June of 25. On the owner side, I won't go through all these, but all these activities are in progress and under contract, with a couple of exceptions. I just wanted to highlight these 2 items here. You'll see up above the data IT, network cabling, and MDF, IDF integration. We've actually split that into 2 components. A portion of that work is lumped in with GMP4 as part of that contract. However, we will be bringing to the board a request for approval to purchase the bulk of the IT equipment specific to the building. I expect that to take place late summer, early fall of this year. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be back to discuss the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, otherwise referred to as FF&E procurement. We'll be asking the board to approve a selection of a vendor, and then returning after that with a contract proposal to complete that process. I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but this is a snapshot of the budget summary for the project. On the left-hand column here, you see the total budgeted amount, totaling up to 54.9 at the bottom, including all contingency values. The middle column shows expenditures to date, just under 16 million as of this point of work in place, with a balance of just under 39 million through completion. The 2 highlighted items here I just wanted to bring a little bit of attention to relate to the 2 yellow highlights are related to the GMP1 demolition package, which is complete, as I mentioned. You'll notice a positive balance there of just under $50,000 between the base contract and the contingency amount, which will come back to the county. Likewise, with the blue, we're just wrapping up the GMP2 phase. I don't have the final numbers in, but my understanding between the 2 line items there, we expect to see in excess of $500,000 unspent budget returning back to the county at completion of the project. Schedule goes all the way back to 2021. The green bars are all the design work. We are here, this highlighted item here in May of 24, and what you will see here going forward is we are purely, most of the activity has been completed, if you will, and going forward from here, we are purely under that GMP3, GMP4 construction timeline. In the blue here, wrapping up in June of 25, and again, the contract administration phase in green above that. The expectation is that we'll be receiving our certificate of occupancy late in June of 25, followed up by hopefully the first board meeting in our new auditorium, where we will formally wrap up the project and receive back any unexpended funds from the project budget. A couple of snapshots of work in progress. You might remember how it used to look 14 months ago, almost to the day. This is the day before demolition. First concrete went in the ground. You can see the fully excavated site there with all the shoring in place around the perimeter, October 26 of 23. First steel erection beginning in February of this year. Stairway underground plumbing going in last month. And the steel decking. This is a view of the basement, fairly well formed up by now. So it gives you an idea of the amount of space we'll have to utilize space I think is very valuable to the facility and to the county. I included this shot just to give you an idea. If you look out the window right now, you'll see the far south end here on this column line. That's not the full extent of the building. You'll see out here this row, the stem wall here, and these rebar mats represent the passenger elevator footings, which is really the true south edge extent of the building. So we got a little bit further to go in that direction.
That's where the elevator will be, huh?
Those are the two passenger elevators that go from the first floor to the third floor. You've seen the shaft already. I can't see it right there, I guess, for the freight elevator, which is further north on the building.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from the same first viewpoint, how the building looks today as we move towards completion of the steel erection. We expect to be complete with the bulk of the steel by the end of May. Pardon me. With that, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Frank Singerland of BWS Architects. He would like to present a quick fly-through of both the interior and exterior of the building to provide a better view of how this will look once complete.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Excited to be here. We're very proud to be your architect on this project. I just wanted to give you an update, but first just mention some of the things that the goals that we set for ourselves when we started the project to improve efficiency, put each department on its own floor together, improve the customer experience, aid with recruitment and retention, improve indoor air quality, contribute positively to downtown, accommodate future growth, have a building that's going to last for 50 years or more, provide a central info desk inside the building, and then separate the public and the staff in a secure manner. And then finally, create a contemporary image, but not something that's experimental. So here's a view of an animation of the exterior of the building. Let me know. I'll just let it run through once. But you can see pretty soon the building's going to look like this. It's really exciting. It's got a stone exterior cladding, a metal skin, a very efficient building envelope with high performance windows and glazing. It's 3 stories above grade with the basement, as Mr. Hillen mentioned. And then the theater building is on the right here. It's just kind of blocked in, but you can see how tall our new building is going to be in relation to that. It has a very strong presence on Main Street. You'll see that soon, with some spaces overlooking the Main Street with windows and a covered portico along the street edge. This is the new entry right here. And let me show you quickly fly through on the interior of the building, which is also very exciting. This is as you come in from the outside off of Main Street and then into the lobby. All the public service counters are on this side. Entry into the main lobbies right here, and then the new Board of Supervisors auditorium will be right through this space here. So this meeting that we're in right now would be conducted in this space in the future. Real simple materials and forms. The idea is for them to last for a very long time. This is the lobby for the elevators, and then we'll go through the lobby and up the steps to the second floor. Lots of natural light for both the public and the employees. Conference spaces that can be shared. This is a kind of a semi-public corridor in the building, and you can see the natural light coming in from above. So even deep into the building, we're bringing natural light into the spaces to create a really healthy environment for the staff and for the and for the public too. And then you can see the wood ceilings, LED lighting, very efficient. And then this is the third floor level. Again, this is the public side of the building, and then the staff side is through the doors. All the service counter windows, you can see them on the left-hand side. And that's about it. Any questions or concerns or comments? We're very excited about the project.
So are we.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's taking some time.
Yeah, it takes some time, that's for sure. It's a big project.
23 years, Tony?
20-some years. I have to admit.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. On your end of it.
This is the
it's
last
like-
building I thought I'd see built. The administrative building. I mean, we started in a courthouse, the old courthouse.
Oh, right.
So it was a long time coming. It has been coming for a long time. Thank you very much for the.
Thank you. Move on to, or Dave.
Thank you for keeping it brief, Dave.
Moving on to item number 7, presentation of the mix with Yuma County by Channel 77.
Yuma County unveils the long-awaited Foothills Park with ribbon-cutting ceremony. Key figures gather for the annual Treasurers Conference. Yuma County Public Works takes the lead in promoting road safety during National Work Zone Awareness Week, and employees were celebrated for their years of service and remarkable accomplishments at the Yuma County Employee Recognition Ceremony. These stories and more, you're watching The Mix. On Tuesday, March 26th, the Yuma Foothills Community Parks was officially unveiled with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. This inaugural phase fulfills a long-standing community desire for recreational space, boasting play areas, walking paths, and a welcoming ramada. Anticipation mounts for the next phase, promising a dog park, inclusive play areas, and more ramadas.
You know, it's something that's been needed out there, and the demographics have changed. It's not just the elderly people or the retirees that are out there. You've got families moving out there, and they want access to a park where they can take their kids and have fun.
The park's location is adjacent to the Foothills Library and promises to be a beloved community asset. The Arizona County Treasurers Association, hosted by the Yuma County Treasurer, held its annual conference, generously funded by sponsorships. Over 2 days, many professionals, including treasurers, staff, and industry representatives, convened to discuss key topics such as the economy, banking security, and electronic mailing. The conference provided a valuable platform for networking and problem solving on common office challenges.
It's great to get together, we share ideas, we collaborate on legislation, and we just work together so that we can protect the taxpayer. That's really what we do.
Amidst the work sessions, attendees also enjoyed eating establishments and historical venues. Yuma County Public Works took proactive steps to educate the public during National Work Zone Awareness Week, themed "Work Zones are temporary, actions behind the wheel can last forever." Observed from April 15th through the 19th, the campaign aimed to highlight safe practices for motorists and roadway workers. Public Works staff visited Cibola High School, engaging teen drivers and imparting crucial work zone safety knowledge. This initiative underscores Yuma County Public Works' commitment to fostering a safer environment for all road users and workers. We'd like to take a moment to congratulate the 2023 Yuma County Employee of the Year, Courts Yuma County Employee of the Year Safety Excellence Award winner, and the 2024 Chairman's Cup Award winner. During our annual Employee Appreciation event, the 2023 winners of their respective categories were announced. The 2023 Yuma County Employee of the Year Award went to Maria Flores with Facilities Management. The Courts in Yuma County Employee of the Year Award went to Susan Malarchik with Adult Probation, and the Safety Excellence Award winner went to Edna Lopez with the Housing Department. Our 2024 Chairman's Cup Award was won by Public Works for their QR code implementation. Let's toss it over to Oscar with some very special guests.
Okay, Arlene, that's a wrap. We just finished up our annual recognition ceremony, and I'm here with the winners of Yuma County Employee of the Year and Courts in Yuma County Employee of the Year. First off, we have Maria Flores. Welcome. How do you feel?
I'm excited. Thank you so much, guys, for all the support. And thank you for my department, my director, Tiffany, my visitor deputy director, Greg, and for Armando, my supervisor. Thank you for all the support that you gave it to me, guys.
That's so nice. Oh, what a great message. And most importantly, what are you going to do with that money?
I'm going to get some vacation.
Yes, vacation for Maria. Sounds good to me. And next up, we have Susan Malarchik, winner of Courts in Yuma County Employee of the Year. How are you feeling?
I feel great. It's an honor. I'm privileged to be at Yuma County Adult Probation. Thank you to my chief, Mike Bird, and my deputy chief, Dennis Seaver, and my unit for my nomination. It's just great to be here, and I love serving my community.
All good stuff. So good to hear. And, you know, like I said, what are you going to do with that money?
That's a good question. It hasn't sunk in yet. I'm not sure.
Well, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Susan. Back to you in the studio, Arlene.
Thanks, Oscar, and congratulations to all of the nominees and the winners. We also wanted to send a shout out to the Yuma County Finance Department and the Health District for the awards received. Yuma County clinched the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association for the 22nd year in a row. And our health district received the Big Shot Award from the Arizona Partnership for Immunization, recognizing their immunization program for their work throughout Yuma County. Congrats to both. Thanks for joining us on the episode of The Mix. If you'd like to watch past episodes, visit our webpage at yumacountyaz.gov under the VOD section. Thanks.
That's a wrap of the
That's
mix. Okay, moving on to consent calendar. The following items listed on the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless board members so request. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to highlight number 4, 5, and 9.
5.
Yeah, 5.
4, 5, and
9.
9. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of items 4, 5, and 9.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve items 1 to 19. 1 to 19 with the exception of 4, 5, and 9. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Chairman, I'll take item number 4 because I see the people that requested the permit are here, and I wanted to acknowledge the fact. Thank you for your patience that have been here, and second, thank you for taking on the task of supporting your clubs, your booster clubs. A lot of the time, people just don't take the time to do that. So I wanted to acknowledge your presence, and I wanted to tell you that I personally feel like that this is a worthwhile project. So I'll make a motion we approve the items listed.
Stand up so we can see you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
There they are. Right behind the podium. Thank you.
I am president of the Somerton Toros Booster Club, and we're doing this event to be able to get funds for camp and other events throughout the year for the cheer girls.
Thank you. Thank you. Somerton High School, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
It's our first year. Well, it was our first year, and this is going to be our second year, so hopefully we'll be able to take the girls out to camp and do other fun stuff with them.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
So my motion is to approve the item as listed.
There's a motion and a
second.
second. And just before I ask for the vote, I'll just make a comment that, nowadays it's very hard for even sports, for teams from high school and even other schools to travel or to do things that I remember as when I was in school that I used to do, and it was paid. We never had to raise any funds to do those events or go out and learn fun stuff. Now it's something that most of the clubs or the teams that have to raise a lot of their funds to travel and do stuff. So very unfortunate, but thanks to you folks that do those kind of events and help out. So.
Yeah, I remember. I didn't even have schools during my time when I was young. Did you?
You didn't have a school?
No. I'm just kidding. Let's vote on it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5.
Item number 5. This is the action to distribute $13,723.50 from the Cocopa Indian tribe to the Yuma Community Food Bank. I always find that you guys don't get enough credit from the Cocopa tribe, the Quechan tribe. They have chosen us to direct these funds, and lately we have been directing them to the Community Food Bank. I couldn't think of a better organization to direct it to that will get them to the community, out to the community. The Cocopa tribe has asked us all the time to find a worthy recipient for these funds, and they normally want us to focus a lot on the youth or the children. I think this is a perfect example of where an entity works with another one to make sure that a worthy recipient is found. I want to thank the Cocopa tribe first and foremost for allowing us to do that, and I want to acknowledge the recipient that I think she's here in the back there sometime. So thank you very much for allowing us to do this.
Anybody want to say anything?
Mr. Chair, Winnie, would you explain where those funds come from?
Oh, you thought you were getting away without getting up in the.
I know.
Chairman and the board, my name is Winnie Ortega. I'm a council member for the tribe representing here. And so it's through our Arizona Compact that with our Indian Gaming that we're able to contribute the funds. And it's to several different entities, not just the county here, but also to different entities. And I'm sorry, I can't think of the name right now of who else we're donating to, but also to various community members and organizations that we do a lot of donations to. And so, we do hear a lot of requests that come across our table month by month. And, our main priority is to sponsor local and, of course, those that make an impact in the community in a positive way. So we're very fortunate to be able to have our enterprises to be able to do that, and happy to be here today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my motion?
Sure.
If you
Yes. You want Shari come up?
Hey, let's go.
You want to go down?
Yeah, I want to go
Oh,
down.
let her say something first.
Yeah, let her speak.
Oh, I'm sorry, Shar.
Oh, no, we'll take it with a big check. Make sure you don't deposit that at the bank. They can't handle that side.
All right. Can you explain who you feed?
Anybody that's hungry, essentially, but right now, pretty much everybody that is coming to us has been affected by the inflation. It hasn't changed, and it seems to be getting worse. We served over 700 new households in the last 3 months, and that's an incredible number that we weren't expecting. We figured we'd be out of the woods by now, but we are thick in it.
In the previous last quarter, it was an additional on top of that.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Yeah.
So the longer this goes on, the more need it seems to be creating because people are having other issues that are complicating it, and food shouldn't be something that people have to go without. So we're really grateful for all the support we get.
Thank you to both of you.
Thank you both, yes.
Down there,
That's kind of self-serving.
never fails to take a picture with the big check.
We didn't.
Oh, let's go on.
I'm
a little excited.
What? You can go ahead. I'm looking for your wallet. I know.
Yes, last one here.
Barbara,
Thank you,
the
Supervisor.
Barbara needs hers too. Okay, Barb.
The check. You gotta take the check. Okay. Thank you very much. And I don't know if we made the motion.
Did you? We'll make it.
Sorry, guys, sorry.
Thank you.
Para los viejos, que se hubo primero.
Cae, pues tenemos un planeo, estamos haciendo la adrede. So, my motion is going to be to.
¿Qué pasa los ancianos?
That we approve the item as presented.
All right.
I'll second it.
There's a motion.
Yeah, I'm motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve item number 5 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9.
Item number 9, authorize the chairman to sign an intergovernmental agreement with the Cocoa Pine Indian Tribe covering the design, construction, maintenance, and financing of the US 95 and Avenue C traffic signal. That is a traffic signal that I think it's been a long time coming. I mean, it's always been a dangerous intersection because if you go up and almost immediately you're hitting that intersection. So I appreciate the fact that the Cocoa Tribe and the county are getting together to get that issue resolved. I know it's money coming from the U Metropolitan Organization, and I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge the fact that it's not just a joint effort between the Cocopa and the county, but it's also funded by funds that were secured through the U Metropolitan Planning Organization, and I wanted to make sure that all of them got credit for the work they have done. And I mean, it's incredible to me that a traffic signal will cost $1 million, but that's what it will cost this time. So that's it. Anything else, Frank?
Chairman Porteous, members of the board, Frank Sanchez, Director of Department of Engineering. We think that's plenty of money to construct the traffic signal, but nowadays construction costs have skyrocketed, as you're all aware of. So this IGA just pretty much states that if anything amount over the $1 million, it's a 50-50 share with the Cocopa and the county.
Good. I hope we don't get there. I hope it can be done within that budget. But I'll make a motion. We approve the item.
Second it. Go ahead.
There's a motion and a second to approve item number 9 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Frank.
And when you see Sherry Timber, I really appreciate the work that's being done between the county.
Yes.
Really.
On behalf of all of us, not just Tony.
Not just Tony, all of
Reason
us,
she
yeah.
gets on my particular case, so. It's just like defense before the. So we'll just move on. Oh, I wanted to. The sheriff left, so I guess we can give.
We have one addendum item, and that's also for the consent calendar.
It would be acted separately. It was not on the consent.
Yeah, but, okay. Addendum, item number 1, approve and authorize the chairman to execute the attached engagement to provide legal services agreement with the law firm of Keller and Heckman LLP, 1001 G Street, Northwest Suite, 500 West, Washington, D.C., to assist the county in review of agreements with Allo Communications and related legal issues. Any questions on that?
Yeah, this is one of those examples.
You want to pull it out?
The Road to Health Waiver Implementation.
Fine.
Thank you. I'll make a motion. Go ahead and
I'll second
approve the
that.
amendment as is.
Mr. Chairman, this is just for a technical review of the master services agreement that allows entities to connect to our broadband middle mile network.
There's a motion and a second. You seconded it, Lynn?
Yes, I did.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, thank you. Motion carries. Going to discussion and action items. The board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. Item number 1.
Let me declare my conflict of interest and refrain from discussing.
That's your battery.
It won't work because my covers are.
So I need to make that clear and refrain.
Item number 1, discussion and possible action as follow. A, conduct a public hearing regarding applications to the Arizona Department of Housing for Community Development Block Grants, funding for the fiscal year 2024 regional account, funding for 3 projects, Comité de Bienestar to rehabilitate Las Casitas apartments in San Luis, Arizona, Catholic Community Service, Safe House to construct a meeting room and replace 2 HVAC units, Avenue B and C area to construct a sidewalk on the Ferguson Lateral Canal, the fiscal year 2024 and fiscal year 2025 state special projects, SSP, funding for community improvement projects to enhance safety and improve the functionality of Kiwanis Tacna Park, fiscal year 2023 and fiscal year 2024. Colonia set aside funding for 5 low-income households, owners, occupied housing rehabilitation. B, adopt resolution 2024-17, authorize submission of the applications. And C, authorize the chairman to sign the application certificate, statement, disclosure reports, and all necessary forms for the application. Anna?
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Diana Veloz with County Administration, Grants Division. So today I'm here as one of the requirements of the Community Development Block Grant to hold a second public hearing for all those projects that you chose at a prior meeting that you prioritized. We have been working diligently on those applications, and we're here to open a public hearing, I think.
Any questions for Diana before I open up to the public? I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board, close the public hearing, and any questions for that? So this is what already is set, huh, for those projects?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, these projects are the ones that we're going to be submitting to the Arizona Department of Housing. Just on a different note, there was WACOG does their calculations for the mod and we are set to receive $467,100 for this year's regional account. That is still not set in stone. That's still just an estimate, but that's what it is at right now.
Okay.
Will that amount, I have a question, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, that amount will cover all the projects?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Pancrezi, that will cover definitely the first 2 projects, the Comité de Bienestar and the Catholic Community Services. For the Avenue B and C, we did have to reduce that a little bit because, you know, to go ahead and meet our budget requirements. But we're hopeful that, yes, we can't say for sure yet.
All right. Is there a motion?
I so moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Go ahead, get there.
There's a motion and a second to approve item number 1, A, B, and C. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
One to abstain.
Oh, yeah.
Item number 2. County Administrator will present a summary of the fiscal year 2024 recommended budget, 2024-25 recommended budget for Yuma County.
Mr. Chairman, could we get down to the agenda? This is going to take some time, I think. Is it going to take some time?
I'd say 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
It's going to take that long.
If you don't ask questions.
If I can stop asking questions, it may take a little bit.
Turn his mic off.
A question for Leo. Can I not recognize Supervisor Reyes anymore?
I don't think it works that way.
I think the conflict was limited to just the item.
I'll refrain.
Chair's priority to recognize whoever's speaking at the time.
Chairman, good morning. Ian McGahee, County Administrator, members of the board. This morning, I'm pleased to present the recommended budget for Yuma County for fiscal year 2024-25. The recommended budget is a result of months of work on the part of staff of the Office of Management and Budget, Financial Services, Human Resources, County Administration, and the directors and elected officials throughout the county, members of the court departments, and other agencies. So I'm pleased to present the result of these shared efforts, which is a budget that is responsible, financially sustainable, and representative of the goals outlined in our strategic plan. So today I'm presenting a summary, as you know, of the 24-25 recommended budget. Tomorrow, the Board of Supervisors will hold budget meetings with all departments, agencies, and outside parties. At the end of tomorrow's budget sessions, the staff would like to hear from the board on any items you'd like to change or add to the budget in preparation for bringing the tentative budget on June 3rd. We'll have the interactive spreadsheet and financial forecasting tools available tomorrow for the board to explore various options that you may wish to consider. As I mentioned, on June 3rd, the board would adopt that tentative budget, which is the maximum budget the board can consider prior to adoption of the final budget. And then on June 24th, the board will conduct a combined budget hearing and truth and taxation hearing and adopt the final budget. So the county identified a number of goals going into the 24-25 budget process. We took a baseline approach, looking at expenditures to determine their necessity and appropriate funding level. We carefully considered all new budget requests with an emphasis on one-time versus ongoing expenses, and we ensured the ongoing stability of all funds in the budget to present this responsible, balanced budget. Among the challenges preparing the budget were inflation and its impact on expenditures, employee attraction and retention, which has been the #1 concern identified by department directors and elected officials, and addressed in part by the recent implementation of the compensation study. Infrastructure and facility needs as we look to update, replace, and remodel aging facilities. Legislative impacts that affect us every year caused by federal and state legislatures, legislative actions that directly increase county expenditures, and of course, meeting our budgetary goals while maintaining strong fund balances in all major funds. This chart summarizes all funds for which the county is responsible, with recommended appropriations for the next fiscal year compared to the current fiscal year. The general fund reflects an overall increase of less than 3%, which is lower than the rate of inflation. Special revenue includes the jail district, health district, library district, and flood control districts, as well as grant funds. The debt service increase reflects additional funds to aid future debt buydown. Capital projects includes funding for major multi-year projects, as well as several buildings, including the home of the new Yuma County Administration Services building across the street, the health district remodel, and more. Internal service funds, which include our vehicle replacement program, ITS lifecycle management, workers' comp, county health insurance, ASRS revolving fund, liability insurance, and more. But overall, the recommended budget includes a slight reduction to total appropriations from the prior year's adopted budget. Our major fund of note is the general fund. Revenue categories for the general fund are shown here. The largest 3 sources of revenue are shown at the top: county property tax, state shared sales tax, and county sales tax. As you can see, there are increases projected in state shared sales tax and county sales tax, based on the current fiscal year's actual strong returns as well as the state's forecast. And please feel free to interrupt at any time if you have questions, comments. Here is some history of the state shared sales tax revenue. Our current fiscal year is projected to see a 4% increase, nearly 1% above what was budgeted. Here is a view of year-to-date county sales tax collections through February for the past 6 years. On the left side of the page is the total collections for each of the last 6 years, with the reddish color on the right being the current fiscal year, and then each of the other categories are off to the right, and they're all at or above prior years. For our current fiscal year, which is 23-24, projected sales tax revenues of $21 million are 2.5% above what was budgeted. General fund uses are categorized as expenditures, which includes personnel and related expenses, supplies and services, vehicles, equipment, and contingencies, transfers out to other funds, and fund balance reserves. As you can see, our total general fund uses are expected to increase by just over 2% this next fiscal year. During the budget process, the budget review team evaluated requests for new positions for the next fiscal year using uniform metrics. 26 FTEs, those are full-time equivalent positions, were requested for next fiscal year. The recommended budget includes a net increase of 4 full-time equivalent positions from all funds compared to the current year. This includes an increase of 5.67 in the general fund and a reduction of 1.67 in special revenue funds, bringing us to that net 4. And this table shows the detail of the recommended budget personnel changes for the upcoming budget. The 0.77 FTEs transferred out of special revenue into the general fund is important because it properly aligns operations with the appropriate funding sources. There were a total of 15 reclassification requests, with all requests being evaluated by Human Resources and recommended. The overall financial impact is just over $54,000. Reclassifications are used to address situations where a position has grown and the current duties no longer reflect the original job description. The legal defender position you see crossed out is because the position became vacant. 40 hours of PTO buyback is once again recommended as an option for employees to potentially partake in, as is the continuation of the loan repayment, tuition reimbursement, and internship programs. The existing general fund projects shown here are recommended for continued funding in the next year's recommended budget. I know each of you has seen details of this budget, so I'll just pause for a moment to look through this list as opposed to reading every single one of them. And similarly, on this page, 13 new general fund capital projects are also recommended for funding in next year's budget. In special revenue funds, several capital projects are recommended. These include continuing projects in the Highway User Revenue Fund for roads, as well as flood control, library, jail districts, and the Tacna Water Improvement Project. And here are more capital projects. We are also recommending 5 new projects for the jail district, as the aging detention center needs to address a number of issues to keep the facility safe and viable. And the HVAC projects have been previously approved using ARPA funding. In planning for the future, thanks to the county's strong financial position, significant allocations are included in the budget for future usage. The Orange Grove Rancho Mesa Verde Sewer Infrastructure Project has a total estimated price tag of $21 million, with plans to spend just over $1 million this coming fiscal year. While the county is still seeking additional grant funds for this project, this allocation of $7.3 million helps us to get ahead. The budget also sets aside funds for future payments to assist in the early retirement of debt and for future capital projects. And it's important to note that the board can always choose to redirect these uses during the fiscal year if needed. The recommended fund balances for the general fund are shown here. It's important to keep a healthy fund balance in case of emergency or some unexpected reduction of revenues during the course of the fiscal year so that the county can continue to provide needed services to the community. For fiscal year 24-25, we're again recommending a recession contingency for the general fund as a prudent approach to any potential economic downturn. The Adair Park contingency is required by the state, and you'll see $3.3 million available for other uses. As shown in this chart, the 20% general fund balance appears at the bottom of the bars with the recession contingency in the pink above that, and Adair Park and risk mitigation contingencies at the top. The decrease in fund balance is primarily due to significant one-time projects, the increased personnel baseline as a result of the comp study, and a conscious effort to plan ahead, as I mentioned just a couple slides ago, for the future by allocating nearly $20 million in funds for future projects and debt payments. This slide shows the fund balances for the library district and flood control. For the library district, a recommended additional recession contingency of 5% is included. The flood control district does not include a flood or recession contingency as projects are budgeted at the amount needed. This slide shows the fund balances for health district and jail district. Both the health district and jail district include a recommended additional recession contingency of that 5%. Comparing our recommended tax rates to the current fiscal year, this budget recommends the same general fund tax rate as the current year, no increase. The recommendation for the library district is an increase for operations of nearly a cent, but that's offset by a reduction of the same amount in debt service, netting a zero change to the overall rate. The budget recommends the same tax rate as the current year for the flood control district, and overall, there is no increase to the combined property tax rate for all funds. Right here is some history of the property tax rate. The overall tax rate was decreased by 11.3 cents in fiscal year 22-23. In fiscal year 23-24, the general fund tax rate was decreased by 8.76 cents, while the flood district increased by the same amount. The fiscal year 24-25 recommended budget includes the same overall tax rate as the past 2 years. And this chart shows the property tax levy over the past 17 years in the blue columns, as compared to the allowable levy shown in the red line. So as you can see, the board has adopted a levy well below the allowable amount for the past 12 years, and we're continuing that trend with this recommended budget. As reported by the county assessor, overall net assessed values increased for fiscal year 24-25 by 3.63%, while new construction decreased by 38.6%. So excluding that new construction, the assessed value for existing properties increased by 2.06%. As shown on this chart, for the current year, a median home valued at $273,500 paid an annual general fund property tax of $662.03. If that same home increased in assessed value by that average assessor's increase of 2.06%, or over $5,600 in value, the annual general fund property tax would increase by $13.64. As shown here, for the current year, a median home valued at $273,500 paid an annual combined property tax of $971.14. If that same home increased in assessed value by the average assessor's increase of 2.06%, the annual combined property tax would increase by $20.01. Here we see the overall property tax impact, including the general fund, flood control district, and library district operations and debt service. Again, you'll see that for a home increasing in value up to $279,134, by that 2.06%, there would be an increase of $13.64 to the general fund property tax over the current fiscal year. The flood control district would see an increase of approximately $1.40. The library rates combined together with no increase in their combined rate would see an increase of $4.97. And again, altogether, There would be an annual overall increase of $20.01, with the total tax rate remaining the same as the current year. So how are our property tax dollars spent? This graphic shows the breakdown of what a typical taxpayer might see on their property tax bill. The Yuma County General Fund, library, and flood control districts combined represent a comparatively smaller portion compared to education-related taxes. Just 29 cents of the tax dollar goes to County General Fund, library, and flood control districts combined, compared to 57 cents to education. And finally, an item not included in the recommended budget, but being considered as an adjustment prior to adoption of the tentative budget, is a 3% adjustment to scale for all county and court employees. This increase would take effect the first full pay period in July. It would cost approximately $1.9 million and would utilize some of the $3.3 million currently set aside in the budget for unnamed uses. This adjustment keeps our employees at pace with inflation, preserves the corrections made by the recent implementation of the compensation study, and keeps the county competitive. Supervisor Pancarezzi.
And I have one comment that I need to make about our employee compensation. The state legislature is still in session. The state legislature and the governor are just now starting to meet on their budget, and their budget has to balance. And when they went to a flat tax, the state is in a deficit, and they have to find a way to get out of that deficit and balance their budget. Having served in the legislature 10 years, when the huge recession occurred, I can tell you that the state legislature has a tendency to balance their budget on the backs of the counties and take away or require funding, county funding, that should be state funding. Because of that, and my concern that they are going to transfer a lot of their responsibilities onto the backs of the counties, I would like us to consider doing a 2% raise for employees in July, an additional 1% in January to make that 3%, just in case we get hit with a bunch of additional costs that we're not planning for and that aren't in our budget because of the state legislature. That's my concern. So that's what I mean, I'd love to be able to get that 3 right up front, but until the state legislature balances their budget and we find out that it's not balanced on our backs, maybe we can do the other percent sooner than January, or, right after the state balances their budget. But I want to see a reserve, because I've seen the legislature, sell off their buildings and lease them back and do all kinds of crazy things like that to balance the budget. And I've seen them use counties as their scapegoat. So I just don't want to overcommit.
I'm actually coming from the opposite side of that. I suggested that we went ahead and increase it by 3% and have 1% be for people who rate about performance. And the reason I'm doing that is because we just had a market study in which about, 60, 70, maybe even higher than that percentage were below market. Every time we do this, 2%, 3%, every time we do that, we get behind. And when we do another market study, we're behind. Now, if we were selling some sort of inventory that I said, okay, we got to be careful with the inventory, but the inventory we sell is service. And to me, that means employees have to be happy about the job they do, and they have to be paid the best you can. Now, thinking that the state is going to balance their budget on the backs of employees and us saying that's okay, to me, it's not. To me, it should be the opposite. We should be planning for more, and if the state for some reason decides that they're going to balance their budget, then let them balance it on something else. And something else in the budget, not exactly to me the salaries of the employees.
We can lobby all we want.
I mean, look, we've got a 38% reserve account, or some 28%, I think, something like that. I think that, yeah, I think that that's okay. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But I think we plan for the future. We plan for a lot of stuff. If the state decides that they're going to take a little more off a budget, it shouldn't be in the back of the employees. It should be something else. To me, that 3-4% is barely keeping up. We talk about inflation and the impact it's having on the projects, and then we do go and say that a 2% is enough, a 3% is enough. It's not. It's not. All we're doing is sort of like racing, trying to catch that greyhound and getting behind and behind. 2%, I don't think is appreciative of the effort that these employees put into making Yuma County the place it is to work. 3% is barely there, and I think 3 plus 1 is probably should be. $1.9 million is the cost. Now, we are putting millions of dollars into buildings. We're putting millions of dollars into projects. I think we ought to put millions of dollars into employees. That would be my take. And it's only because Supervisor Pancras, he brought it up that I would say this, because I didn't want to take longer than necessary. But I suggested it be 3 plus 1. Now, if it doesn't work out that way, that's fine. But that would be my take. I don't think we should allow the legislature to take, to balance the budget in the back of the people's. I know that the state is doing their part, and I know that these are recurring issues. But the fact of the matter is, I've been around for a long time, and I know that when you get behind on salaries, you'll never catch up.
Thank you, and I guess my one response, Mr. Chairman and supervisors, we do have $650,000 available in the budget for contingency for legislative impacts, just in case they pull a fast one and throw us something that we need to cover.
Yeah.
We do have that strong contingency in place, and also significant funds allocated for, as you mentioned, the future projects, future debt reduction, in the event that there's significant revenue downturn or some other unforeseen burden thrown at us by the state or even federal government. I'm confident we have funds to manage those things.
My concern is that the state legislature, and we're all in trouble, and we're all at risk of any number of transfers of responsibility and finances while the state legislature is in session. None of us are safe. And so I just want to make sure that we have
we're prudent. I think to Supervisor Pancras' comment, by she saying that, I don't know, maybe we're very healthy. Or, I mean, at least it looks healthy. So should that be a concern from the state?
Yes, that would be a concern. Yes,
Myself, but I don't
because I can tell you they have analysts looking at all of that.
Spend it a little more.
We should spend it. No.
Possibly, yeah, but
And also on the 3%, I think 3 plus 1, like Tony said. But the recommendation was 3 from the consultant. So I think that will keep that.
That'll keep us at market value.
At that pace. So
I agree that will keep us at a pace, but I don't necessarily see the incentive for an employee to do better. Everybody gets a 3, so everybody's going to get a 3. But do we allow the supervisors to be able to take a look at people who do exceptional and rate them high, and then say, okay, well, you'll get an additional 1% if you rate high, and that would be just if you rate high. Right. It's tough to measure that, but I think we got enough to cover that.
It's just, to me, leaving it on one person to decide. It's just we're gonna go back to being my favorite or his favorite or the one that brings me coffee or all that. So just not. I think 3%. That was the recommendation. I'm good with that, and but I think as we go along, we'll make that decision.
Would you like to hear from the Human Resource Director now? Any?
We're done?
Yes.
Okay, so we're done, yes.
I got one more slide, and I think that slide just says if you have any further questions, fire when ready.
Any more questions for Ian?
Just you and the team done a good job with this year.
Yeah.
I'd have to say this is a sound, physically sustainable, conservative budget that's going to serve our residents, businesses, and visitors well over the coming year. And thank you all for your participation and collaboration in bringing us to this point.
And, you know, and just one thing, Ian, I know when you were talking about the property tax, maybe we should, you know, make that bigger, a banner, because, you know, that's a lot of questions that I get is that,
Yes.
you know,
They think
compare
we're
to what
responsible.
other, you know, the schools, the education, I mean, which is very important, but the state, that's where the state gets on our back, because on the side of education, they force us to increase those education funds because they don't want to pay. And that's the way it should, you know, the state should be doing it, paying for it. So that's the majority of on the taxes, in the tax bill, when you see line by line, there's so much education for schools there. So I just want to make sure that everybody, you know, addresses this when they're asked, you know, my taxes are going up. Well, the majority of the taxes that go up are on the education side.
Not only that, but the majority of the taxes that go up are not because we changed the rate, it's because the appraisals went up. And that the state is allowing the assessor to increase it by a certain percentage. And anytime he increases it by that percentage, he actually, that's why we have truth in taxation hearings, even though we don't change the tax rate. Because essentially, when the assessors appraises a property higher, the tax go up. But if you look at it, people who pay improvement districts, people who pay to cities and towns, when you take that out, the county gets about 30% of that dollar, maybe 30% of that dollar. And people get that. We're like the bad messengers. You know, we transfer the message, they get a bill from the county, they think the county set those rates. We don't set those rates. We only set one rate, and that rate stayed steady or being lowered since 2016, 17 to now. So it's not as if, and I can tell you this from 23, 25, 27, whatever years of experience, that this has been a continuation of the same policies that have been always in front of us, which is provide a balanced budget, try to lower the tax rate, and keep the residents with the services they have without increasing the taxes. It's been a policy that we followed over the years, and I'm really happy to say that I've seen this board do the same thing over and over again. It is something that I'm proud of, and I know that people are surprised when they find out that over half of the tax bill they pay, they approve themselves. They approve the education.
Overrides and bonds.
I get those questions every 6 months.
It's kind of like, okay, well, we send the bill, but we don't set it. We don't set the bill. Those, especially those special districts, because those are special districts are set by cities and towns. They're set by water users. They're set by somebody else. They're not set by us.
Or they've requested them.
Speaking of, our property taxes, people need to look at the back of their property tax and make sure they're being taxed at owner occupancy and not, you know.
Wow. We heard those comments earlier.
Yeah,
so
Ian's
going to take care of that.
I know, Ian's taking care of that. Sorry, I'll be quiet.
Thank you,
Ian. Excuse me, but what was the human resource people were going to say?
Oh, nothing, that I was right and you were wrong. Not just kidding.
So what were you going to say? Get up and say it. Say it or keep it. Or keep it together.
Don't keep it.
Reports as members of the board, I was not going to say that at all. I was just going to thank you so much for all of your support.
Okay, thank you.
Martina, I have one more comment. I just wanted to comment. I served on Meet and Confer for teachers forever, and I was always asking for Tony's 4% instead of 3%. And I sometimes we got it, sometimes we didn't, but I just know the state legislature were not safe until they sine die.
Until the gavel sounds.
And once they sine die, then we're okay. But yeah.
You know, I've always been concerned that the state's going to look at this as this part of the state and say, well, those people are running too well. They have too much. They have too much. You know, I'm always concerned that success doesn't breed like happiness from other people. It brings some sort of envy. And at the end of the day, I'm so happy to be able to report to the constituents in Yuma County that nobody lost their job in the recession. That their salaries ended up more or less decently placed. But that's because of the work that this board has done, being conservative, doing the type of things that need to be done.
Thank you.
And I think that those decisions deserve to be highlighted. At the same time, all we do is service, and if the employees don't feel happy about their salary, they go someplace else and look for it. And we lose a lot of people we train because they get offered more salary. I know that it's a never-ending struggle, but when you can, and you should. And the state, to me, hasn't made it easy for us. They've made it tough and hard sometimes. But we don't have to live under the legislature that way. I think that if the county employees know that we're looking at their best, and the state decides that they're not, or they're doing something, I think we're well prepared for it. And that's why I suggested that we keep up. Otherwise, every time we do a market study, we're going to end up.
We'll do another one in 10 years.
Then consider 2% and a 2% in January. So if that's what you want to do.
Thank
I
you.
just know the legislature is.
Well, isn't this the part where we give suggestions? This is
No,
the
but
part.
yeah, we heard it. You want to come?
Well, that's what I mean. You said 2 and 2, and I like that.
I know you did, but
It doesn't mean.
that's not recommended. So
Mr. Chairman, you're welcome to give suggestions now. We do have the full meeting tomorrow. And you'll hear from all the department directors and elected officials.
Tomorrow is like the gripe and complain part, where every department head says, I'm okay with the budget, or they come up and say, well, the courts will come up and say, no, we don't think it's enough.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow. And at that point, you're welcome to give any feedback or changes or modifications to the recommended budget. And we'll bring that to tentative and go from there.
The chairman's going to figure out a way to not. Okay, we'll do it tomorrow.
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll move on to planning and zoning agenda. Full legal descriptions of property sites for all rezoning cases are available for public review at the Yuma County Board of Supervisors office. Expedited rezoning and public hearings. These items will be open as a group for public hearing and acted upon by one motion to adopt the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission, except for any item that is removed by the board member for separate consideration. The item will be discussed and acted upon separately following action on expedited items. And we have 2 items. Item number 1, rezoning case number 24-01. And item number 2, special use permit 2401-01. And we have, I'll open it up. I'll open the public hearing. Anybody from the public? Bring it back. Are there any questions from?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that we approve items 1 and 2, rezoning case 24-01, and special use permit 24-01 as presented.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve rezoning case number 2401 and
More
special
housing.
use permit case number 2401.
We just need more housing in Yuma, and this helps. Go ahead.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to rezoning, regular public hearing item. Staff will make a full presentation on each of the following items, followed by separate discussion, public hearing, and action by the Board of Supervisors. And we have item number 1, special use permit number 23-19. So Rosa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Javier Barrazas, unit planner, presenting special use permit case number 23-19. This is a request per section 601.03T of the Yuma County zoning ordinance to allow a solar power generating facility and associated equipment on 33 parcels. The total is 4,244.5 gross acres in size. The properties are zoned rural area 40-acre minimum. The proposed project is located in Dayland East County planning area between the alignments of Avenue 58E and 61E, north and south of Palomas Road. And the intent is to allow the construction of a solar powering facility, photovoltaic modules with an estimated capacity of 1,000 megawatts. This is the zoning and vicinity map showing the subject parcels, crosshatched to the center of the map. All of them are in desert terrain, mostly flat. Access to the properties are along Palomas Road to dissect the parcels. Until 2018, the board approved special use permit 1808 for a similar proposal. At the time, the project name was Victoria Solar. Construction has not started in those parcels on the east. Also around on the north, east, and west, there's open and federal land. This is an oblique aerial view showing outlined in red the subject parcels. Highlighted in orange is the approximate location of washes in the area. This is the site plan provided by the applicant, showing, depicting all the proposed uses in the area and the facility. This is a view looking southwest of the Palomas Road from Avenue 65E. Southwest of Palomas Road from Avenue 60E, getting closer to the project site. Now looking northwest of the subject parcels. Looking southwest. Staff received one letter in opposition. Outside the zoning area, received comments from Arizona Game and Fish Department, Arizona Department of Transportation, and Rural Metro. The Planning Commission recommends approval of a special use permit case number 23-19, subject to the following performance condition. Within 60 days of board approval, the owner or applicant must provide the following: record a range disclosure statement and record a Yuma Proving Ground disclosure statement. Also, the following operational conditions: the owner operator shall maintain and make copies available to Yuma County and current copies of all permits and notices from submissions to any federal, state, or local regulatory authority. Number two, the owner operator shall employ a chief safety professional and provide a 24-hour emergency contact phone number. Number three, approval of the special use permit is based on the site plan submitted by the applicant. Any change from the site plan will require approval by the planning director. Number four, the applicant must install and maintain a security fence along the perimeter of the area of the installation of solar panel modules. Number five, the applicant must install and maintain a sign warning of the high voltage associated with the solar farm at the entrance to the facility. The sign must also provide the emergency contact information. Number six, post-project construction dust palliative shall be applied to the soil for dust control mitigation. Number seven, prior to construction, applicant must provide to the planning director evidence of a valid decommission and bond. If not verifiable to the county satisfaction, then the applicant. Would you like me to read the entire? And also number eight.
No, you're good. No.
Okay, traffic impact analysis shall be completed by Yuma County Public Works. Number nine, the applicant owner must abide by procedures and requirements adopted by Union Pacific regarding approvals and granting of cross points and entry right through Union Pacific right-of-ways and easements. And number 10, the special use permit shall be valid for a period not to exceed 30 years from the date of approval by the board. Mr. Chairman, that concludes staff's presentation and the agents are present.
Any questions for Mr. Barraza?
No, I do have one for the applicant though.
I have a comment. I know mine are always comments, they're not questions. When we approve this, I would like to see an MOU for a passage somewhere in the property to allow for the animals to be able to get through this area back and forth. And I'd also like to see some sort of a field set up so that maize or grass or whatever it is can be grown so that the animals will stay out of the farm fields that are close by. That because past the white wing, all these animals lost their feeding ground and they ended up in farm fields, and those farmers, if those animals get in there, cannot utilize their crop. So those are the only two things I'd like to see, some sort of MOU to allow the animals to pass through and some sort of feeding grounds.
We do have, our Supervisor Lyons has some questions for the applicant.
I'm going to ask a question I don't know much about.
Okay.
I've had questions from several constituents, and they wanted me to understand better with the increase of solar arrays in Yuma, how does that affect a solar dome type effect? And if you guys have looked at anything like that, they are concerned about overheating of the atmosphere, et cetera.
Understood. First of all, good morning, supervisors. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name is Jesse Cohen, Manager of Development at Balance Rock Power, 6400 East McDowell Road, Scottsdale, Arizona, 85257. Supervisor Lyons, it's a fair question given the proximity of other solar farms in the area. There are studies of what they call a heat analysis or a heat island, and we're happy to provide those studies that have been done. I have a few kind of anecdotes that I can provide specifically on that. The study that I'm specifically referencing, it says an annual average air temp in the middle of a PV array can reach up to 1.9 degrees Celsius above the ambient temperature. And that's in the middle of the array, that's the maximum. The thermal energy completely dissipates once you're 5 meters to 18 meters in the air. And then when you're talking about distance from the solar farm, the dissipation of the thermal energy is pretty prompt. About 300 meters away, you're not experiencing that, elevation of ambient temperature. We also, in the study, it says 18 months of detailed data showed the solar array was completely cooled at night. So that eliminates the risk of a heat island effect because, as you can imagine, when the sun's down, the solar panels are not producing electricity.
Okay. Can I get a copy of those so I can pass those along, please?
Sure thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I just like to. Oh,
Go ahead.
I just like to make a comment. This is very, very different than the last time we faced one of this. I think that you guys have done a great job of letting people know what's going on with this. One of the biggest concerns I had was whether the power is going to be used in-house, because normally when they build this large farm, the power goes to California, some other place, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did make a lot of did have a lot of questions, and a lot of those questions address a lot of the issues that I would have. The one that strikes out the most to me is the Gun and Rod Clubs saying they're okay because they know that this isn't going to impact their activities, and I mean, we keep talking about wanting more solar power, more alternate sources of power. But the fact is that our proximity to California makes it so that California ends up getting it. And that was a concern to me at the beginning. I don't have any particular concerns. I just wanted to make that statement. I mean, you guys handled this from the beginning with a pretty open attitude, and that has helped out quite a bit.
That's kind of what I wanted to say too. From the get-go, you guys worked with Rod and Gun Club, got their support, got a lot of people's support, and that area out there, there's very few farm fields past 57. Everything is just pretty much abandoned desert all the way out towards 64, both north and south of the tracks there. So I think it's a good use of the area, and like I said, I appreciate you working with Rod and Gun Club, helping them, address their needs and their concerns. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Let me
if you need.
it up to the
To the
public.
public, yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought you had.
Mr., the other people you got approval from is Arizona Game and Fish. So, which also helps us with that determination. But I was at the Rod and Gun Club meeting, and I can tell you that they were concerned about a pass-through for the animals and a plot for feeding, a feeding plot. And you guys discussed it very much and didn't have any problems with that. So, so that helps.
Right, so you made a motion?
Wait, hold on. Time out, Tony. After he opens it up, can we hear from Pat, please?
Yes, I'd love to hear. Is he still here?
He is.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any
He's
more
hiding in the
questions
back.
for the applicant?
No.
No? Okay,
No.
thank you.
Thank you.
Jesse. And I'll go ahead and open it up, open up the public hearing. And I do have, let me just say, I do have 2 speaker forms. So I'll let them talk. And the first, Pat Condry.
This is Tony's, this is the answer to Tony,
The other Pat.
East County Tony.
Am I the right Pat, or there's two Pats?
I think it's Pat Henningsen, the other Pat.
Should we let Pat? Two of us, everybody that's cool is named Pat. I'm one of the Pats. I'm the longtime superintendent of Hyder Elementary District. I'm now currently the superintendent of Antelope Union High School District by default. No. The schools out there, as you know, struggle a lot more, similar to South County, with assessed value. We cannot build or do the things that you can do in the city because of assessed valuation. Somerton and San Luis have struggled forever. Hyder, Antelope have struggled. It's led to some of the problems we have. You guys, it's a perfect day for this because you're talking taxes. Assessed value is directly proportionate to everyone's taxes going down. As far as my research goes, this would be the largest ever private investment by a non-governmental group in the history of this county, $1.6 billion. The assessed value, the state gives away a lot of it to encourage big companies to come in, but you would still see a massive assessed value, well over $100 million, hit East Yuma County, which also hits AWC, the library district, flood control districts, yada, yada, yada. The taxes for the schools out there, which is the main, you guys pointed out, it's the main tax, would go down drastically. And that would allow us to do some things out there that we can't do right now. Antelope High School, by far, the facilities are way subpar compared to Yuma, and that's strictly because of taxation issues. So I highly recommend this project. It's a good, clean project. I was involved with the beginnings of First Solar going way back when, the Agua Caliente project. The county did a good study on where would you want solar farms, and they developed that area and zoned it for solar farms. That's why the big extensions are out there. As you know, you can't just throw an extension cord out. People ask, well, why are they all out in Dayton? First of all, we had no opposition. But number two, that's where the big transition lines go. That's the freeway. And you can't build them way off somewhere else. You've got to build them near the freeway. Okay, and it's very, very important to the jobs and taxation for the people out there to have these type of projects. They're clean, very well organized, and this is a class outfit. I've worked with them a lot, very supportive of the schools. They're going to help us in a lot of ways, and I highly recommend that you approve the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Charles Bush?
I think he left.
Left? Okay. Pat Henningsen?
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Pat Headington, I'm here this morning representing the Yuma Valley Rod and Gun Club. We want to support this particular project. I know we've come before you previously on projects similar to this. One of the biggest differences between this project and the previous one is this project's all on private land. It's not on lands that are accessible to the public. And we recognize that there are some benefits that are inherent to owning private land, such as fences and all of and everything that coincides with that. At the end of the day, we would really like to thank Balanced Rock for coming to us early and talking about this project and how this project could move forward. In support of Supervisor Pancrazi's comments in our very first meeting, Balanced Rock committed to working with us as well as the Arizona Game and Fish Department on some water projects in the area and continuing a conversation on how to facilitate some sort of habitat enhancement for feed on the ground. And that's something that Balanced Rock, we have a letter of commitment to that, and we're confident they will maintain their commitment to try and figure out how we can make that happen, just to ensure that the monies that they would be providing to that portion of the project end up on the ground and not caught up in some other bureaucratic efforts. So we appreciate Balanced Rock and their communications throughout this process. Good team. And with that, we support the project.
Thank you, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Anybody else from the public? I'll bring it back to the board.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second that motion.
One last comment. I mean, obviously, everybody should realize, especially people who are doing this, that there's some washes in there. And be careful that you don't block them because although it doesn't rain much up here, when it rains, it's noticeable out in the desert. So please just be cognizant.
They'll put panels in the washers, they'll be gone.
There's a motion and a second to approve special use permit number 23-19. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Legislative issues. Thank you.
What, nobody's staying?
Dang.
Nope.
Damn.
Alejandro,
It's like me
you ran
singing.
everybody off.
Audience.
Uh-huh.
Everybody else that stayed has to be here. I mean,
Dang.
this is not a good sign.
They don't want to make you feel bad. So.
Hey, Tony, do we all get our own photographer?
Yeah, well, we will photographer now.
Sometimes it does.
But you can't leave.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'll be presenting a brief legislative update, given that we have no audience. After more than 110 days in session, there have been more than 1,700 bills introduced, out of which 235 have made their way to the governor's desk. The governor has signed 180 of them and vetoed a total of 55 bills. There's still no sign of how long the current session will last, as the budget negotiations remain ongoing. March revenues, this is good news. They've exceeded projections by $103 million. Following a trend from last month, the individual income tax category was again the largest contributor to the revenue growth during the month, due to a decline in dollar amount of refunds being issued. Year to date through March, excluding urban revenue sharing and the one-time tax rebate, fiscal year 2024 general fund revenues are 3.1% below the prior year. With the March results, after 3 months of tracking against the Joint Legislative Budget Committee January baseline forecast, the state has generated a cumulative forecast gain of $128 million, according to the JLBC. Continuing with the state and sharing some bills of interest, border security has been a priority for the legislative majority, but for several reasons, many of their attempts at addressing the issue have been vetoed by Governor Hobbs. I'll mention three of them, three bills that have been put up related to immigration. HB 2157, probation, termination, deportation, which prohibits a court from using a defendant's deportation as the sole reason for early termination of probation or intensive probation. That was vetoed by Governor Hobbs. And then we have HB 2843, defense of premises definition, which modified the definition of premises for the purpose of justifying threatening to use deadly physical force or threatening of or using physical force against another when immediately necessarily prevent or terminate the commission or attempted commission of criminal trespass by the other person, to specify that the premises can be either real property or any structure adapted for human residence or lodging. The governor's veto letter stated that legislation, and I quote, "The legislation as written values property over human life and incentivizes vigilantism." And finally, SB 1231, state crime and legal border crossings, made a legal entry to the state from a foreign nation at any location other than the port of entry at a state crime punishable by a misdemeanor. It also contained higher penalties for certain unlawful, quote-unquote, unlawful entrance if the person was removed due to a felony conviction, or if they were excluded or removed due to federal law or multiple misdemeanors. governor's veto letter noted that this, and I quote, "This bill does not secure a border, will be harmful for communities and businesses in our state, and burdensome for law enforcement personnel and the state judicial system. Further, this bill presents significant constitutional concerns," and I end quote. Senate President Warren Peterson put out a press release committing to advance a ballot measure that would establish, and I quote, "in Arizona law border-related crimes with subsequent punishments," end of quote, and give local, county, or state law enforcement officials the authority to arrest any non-U.S. citizen who illegally enter Arizona, as well as those who have previously been ordered to leave. The Senate will be using H.C.R. 2060 as a vehicle for this policy and will be convening a special meeting of the Military Affairs, Public Safety, and Border Security Committee on May 8th. Passage there will clear the way for a floor hearing on May 15th, which will then see the bill transmitted to the House for a final reading. Also on the state, not related to immigration, SB 1731, public meetings, comments, and members. As you probably know, it failed in the Senate. The bill permitted members of a public body to discuss matters raised during an open call to the public. The motion, unfortunately, has been extended and may be reconsidered later on. On the federal side of things, Arizona Senators Kirsten Sinema and Mark Kelly announced $156,120,000 for residential neighborhood solar projects for low-income and disadvantaged communities in Arizona, strengthening access to electricity, lowering costs, and creating jobs, according to the senator's statement. The investments were awarded through the Solar for All (SFA) program, created as part of the historic climate and energy law shaped by Kelly and Sinema. The FSA proposal will provide millions of dollars in energy bill savings for Arizonans and enable the state of Arizona to partner with electric utilities, especially tribal utility authorities, to deploy neighborhood-scale solar and provide utility bill credits to 4,000 of Arizonans renting in multifamily housing. Lastly, on international and border affairs, President Biden had a call with Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador last week. They've directed their national security aides to immediately put in place concrete measures to reduce the number of unauthorized border crossings. The policies would also protect human rights, according to the statement. U.S. and Mexico will increase enforcement measures that would prevent major modes of transportation from being used to facilitate illegal migration to the border, as well as a number of repatriation flights that would return migrants to their home countries. That would conclude my report to the board, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Any questions for Alejandro?
Thank you, Alejandro. Alejandro, the border crossing times have been lower, but markedly lower for the last month and so forth. I was the one that I was proud of the fact that they were longer, so I wanted to make sure that everybody listened to that message and tries to, maybe it's just summer, but I think it's just, I think the attitude of the new board director is markedly different from the last one. So just wanted to make a point that if you talk to him and get his phone number, I'd like to thank him for that.
Absolutely.
I have a question. The millions to Arizona's access to solar energy, the one that Kelly and Sinema are doing, is having, I'm sure you've read through it, is there anything that requires the utility company to accept those credits? I know that a lot of times they choose whether to accept, they can choose whether to accept your solar or not, the solar energy that your home produces.
Madam Pancrase, Supervisor Pancrase, I will have to look into the requirements. I don't have them in front of me, and I will make sure to email those to the board if I
don't know how that works all the way around the state, but I know that in the past, the utility companies have the option of accepting those credits or not. And how would that help a low-income person if they decided not to use their solar credits and help them lower their bill? So, thank you.
Any other questions for Alejandro? Thank you, Alejandro. Summer current events calendar.
Okay, I'm coming.
Just say lots and lots.
I do have lots and lots. Attended my WACOG meeting. I met with some constituents. I went to the NAU advisory board meeting. That's where I learned about the NAU nursing program, the speed up process for 16 to 18. I went to the State of the City's luncheon, the Board of Supervisors Employee of the Year, CSA Executive Board meeting, CSA Board of Directors meeting. I also attended the Western Governors Association's Prosperity Forum in Phoenix, and learned a lot about what's going on with fire prevention in our forests and economic development throughout the states, all the western states. It was very good. Arizona at Work Providers meeting, YMPO meeting, Yuma County Victims' Rights Week picnic, CSA Legislative Policy Committee, Colorado River Modeling webinar, met with Ian, and attended the Celebration of Life for Gary Knight, and it was amazing, and I think Highway 95 widening should be called Knight Highway. So, just my feeling. Anyway, there you go. That's what I did.
Lots of the same.
Uh-huh.
In light of having to come back tomorrow.
Mr. Simmons.
Thanks.
Then the CSA meeting, GYEDC Ag Tech Luncheon, Christie's retirement, which she's definitely going to be missed, but we got somebody more than capable to take her
Yes.
place. PSPRS meeting, Martinez Lake Homeowners Association meeting, Foothills Community meeting, attended the open house at Rural Metro for their new fire station out on Foothills Boulevard. Had a budget briefing, also attended Gary Knight's memorial, which was very well done. Compliment the city on everything, the way they did that, the way they handled it. County awards, and met with, I couldn't even begin to count the number of people on other items.
Other than the fact that instead of Desiree, we have Desiree.
Desiree.
Desiree, we have
The
Desiree.
last name is pretty significant, but welcome, Desiree. Desiree. Something like that. But anyway, thank you. We look forward to working with you. So far, it's been good.
It's fun. We were at Christie's, the
And
retirement.
we went to the Employee of the Year celebration. So it was a busy week, a busy 2 weeks.
It was fun to watch them both turn. Her and Desiree were both standing together at Christie's retirement. I just hollered their first name simultaneously, both of them just trying to figure out who they're talking to, who's talking to.
Attended the YMPO meeting, the employee appreciation event. Attended with that victims walk in Somerton, and read that housing proclamation at the Heritage Library a couple weeks back. That's it. Ian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I attended a election inspector debrief session at the recorder's office. Also attended the Yuma Mayor State of the City address, the employee recognition event, of course, participated on a panel for the first round of interviews for President and CEO of GYEDC, YSIPTA Board of Directors meeting, quarterly management team meeting, the Fair Housing Fair outside of the Heritage Library, GYEDC luncheon, ACMA Board annual retreat, Supervisor Simmons monthly community meeting, met with Welton Town Manager Richard Marsh, and Deputy County Administrator Josh Scott, and I met with Yuma Administrator Jay Simonton, memorial service for Mr. Gary Knight, and a reminder that tomorrow's special board meeting right here at 9 a.m. Thank you.
All right.
How much can we leave here? Nothing? Would you take everything?
I would take it with you, just to be safe. I'm not sure who's using this room later today, so.
Meeting adjourned.